You listened to this version, right, from the very beginning? Is that right?
Correct. I
Okay.
always do.
You always listen to this version. Hey, if you got this part of the video, you've got the live unedited edition, the version Ed Sullivan always listens to. Home Gadget Geeks, Thursday night. It's the 3rd of April. It's almost 7 p.m. in the Central Time Zone. An hour earlier, but I'm seeing a ton of folks out there. I saw John checking in, and Kevin was checking in, and TJ, thanks for coming out. So we moved it to 7 for Ed. Ed, welcome.
Well, thank you, Jim. It's great to be back. And I always watch this version.
Oh,
it's highly recommended. You need the pre-show.
Yeah. It's part of the deal, right?
Yeah, it's like an appetizer. Hopefully a tasty one.
Well, speaking of an appetizer, we're not going to talk about cigars on the show, but
no.
How are the cigars today?
Oh, excellent ones today, Jim.
Justin or one of those guys wanted me to talk about, you can't have Ed Sullivan without talking about cigars.
A little bit. Yeah, well, I can talk a little bit about, my car choice with regard to cigars, because that was a consideration for me, and probably not for many other people.
Probably not for most.
No, because even most cigar smokers don't smoke in their cars.
Right.
But I do,
including this one. What do you keep in mind when you're for a car like this? What's a consideration or two for the cigars?
For the cigars, a couple big considerations are, my preference is to have a sunroof.
Oh,
right. Because I like to crack open that sunroof, and then if you crack the driver's side, most of the smoke is going out through there.
Yeah.
Other big consideration for me are having what do I want to call it? Screen protector.
Oh, over the electronics.
Correct. Just because, most of those are saying don't use anything harsh on it. And after a while with the smoke, you're going to get a film on there.
Yeah.
So I'd rather be able to use my harsh cleaners on the screen protector.
Oh, nice. Do you replace those on an annual basis, every other
year? I never had to in the Tesla. It was traded in with its original screen protector.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Hold up well.
Yeah. What about the headliner?
Oh, Jim, the headliner. See, for me, if you're going to be a cigar smoker, you better go dark headliner.
Yeah.
Black.
You don't want a white one for sure, right?
No. I mean, the Tesla's a lighter color, and it showed over time. The problem is, I think a lot of the designers have decided that a light colored headliner makes the space feel bigger, which it may, but it's not making the space any bigger. So
not actually, just feels bigger, right?
That's right.
Yeah. John's asking, what was your model? What model was your Tesla?
I had a 2021 Tesla Model 3 long range, and I had full self-driving, and I added the acceleration boost to take it to a 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds.
I felt that boost. Let me tell you, I thought I was going to fly out of the car.
It was peppy.
It was very peppy. I couldn't pull my head back from the seat. I was scared to death. And I'm usually okay with speed, but that was,
after a while, it sort of occurred to me that, that's a fun party trick.
Yeah.
But there wasn't really a circumstance where I was flooring it, except to show somebody, look how fast this is.
Yeah. It was just a party trick, right?
Pretty much.
Basically. Tony says the panoramic sunroof that burns my head also makes it feel bigger.
I think I've resolved some of that with my new car choice, but if you're tall in one of these Teslas with the panoramic sun roof, you feel the heat on a hot day.
Yeah. I don't know how I'd feel. I am not a sunroof guy. Yeah, my Legacy does not have a sunroof. It can come
No.
with it. You can get it certainly on the. I think in Subaru, it's like the ultimate premium package or something.
Yeah.
You can get those. But I went with the regular premium, and I'm kind of glad for me. Ed, those now in the old days, maybe this is not the case anymore. They tended to leak. I just didn't. I just didn't like them, and so I kind of like it. I like I now I know why you like them, but
Right.
I'm not smoking in my Legacy. So
No.
Yeah.
No, and aside from my cigar requirement, I probably wouldn't care about it at all.
Does Milo's car have a sunroof? Is that
And
equipped with
Milo doesn't let me smoke in
No,
his car,
he's-
so it
he's-
doesn't need it.
he makes a face, right? If you get the cigars too close to him, he kind
Yeah,
of
yeah, he doesn't hate him, but he doesn't love him either.
Yeah, I think if you get him too close, he makes a face, and he's just like, no, don't get those. I don't
be doing
I
that.
don't like them. Yeah. Tony says he has a darker interior. John checked in, said his was the 2021 long range.
Yeah, same thing with the acceleration boost.
Yeah. All right. Well, that covers our what it means to be smoking cigars in
Yes.
a car. We won't talk about that too much during the show, guys. Thanks for coming out early. Appreciate that. We started a little bit an hour earlier for Ed. He was like, "Hey, I go to bed early. Can we start an hour early?" Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you did it that one time, so
I know.
it can be done.
Well, and it actually kind of works out. Like it's a quick turnaround for me between making dinner, getting the girls fed, and then kind of cleaning up. But it works out okay that way. You know, I get down here. I'm not sitting around. Typically, we'd finish up dinner and I'd get some things. I'd sit around for 45 minutes waiting for the show to start. So I still may go with a 7:00 start. I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll try this here, get some more, or maybe give the guest an opportunity to say, "Hey, would you like to come early, or do you want to do 8? You want to do 7? What works for you?" So we'll give that a try. Okay. Let me kick this thing off. Yeah, you know how this works. Thanks for coming out tonight. And hold on before TJ says. He says, I go to bed every night at 10, so I feel it. Yeah, for sure. Let's get you out. This will get you a little bit earlier. Ken, welcome. Thanks for coming out. Good to see you. Ken said he liked it too. I think it changes his listening schedule just a little bit. So anyways, let me do this. Here we go. This is the Average Guy Network, and you have found Home Gadget Geeks, show number 641 with Ed Sullivan, recorded on April 3rd, 2025. Here on Home Gadget Geeks, we cover all the favorite tech gadgets that find their way into your home, and sometimes outside of your home. News, reviews, product updates, and conversation, all for the average tech guy. I'm your host, Jim Collison, broadcasting live from the AverageGuy.tv studios here in a beautiful Bellevue, Nebraska. Spring is great in Bellevue, by the way. Of course, we'll post the show with some world-class show notes, and Ed has provided me some great links tonight. So you're going to want to make sure you check out the show notes out at the AverageGuy.tv. Big thanks to our Patreon subscribers. You guys keep us supported every single month. Appreciate you doing that. If you want to join that team, you can head out to the AverageGuy.tv/Patreon. Then a big thanks to those of you clicking through on the AverageGuy.tv, the affiliate link that's there for Amazon. If you're going to purchase there, just click through the link. Cost you nothing, and appreciate that as well. Big thanks to Gavin Campbell, who joined me last week. He's always great to have on the program. So, Gavin, thanks for coming on. Ed, welcome.
Well, thank you. It's a thrill, as always, to be here, Jim.
Yeah, it's always great to be with you. Full disclosure, we get to spend some time on Sundays chatting, which is always super fun, and I appreciate that. Thanks for hanging out with me.
You've probably heard most of this already, but
no, actually, we never really went into the details while we've been chatting. So some of this is going to be new to me, which I really appreciate. Ed, so I was looking up shows. I don't know what made me think of this, but I was like, I wonder who the guest we had the last time. It was an April 3rd show. So I went back, and it took a while. It took all the way back to 2014, but the guest is kind of significant to what we're talking about, because this particular guest is big in the Tesla space. And of course, tonight we're talking about you did something different. Who do you think that was, Ed? Any guesses?
That would probably be Paul, maybe?
Yeah, I think Paul Braren was the last one on here way back in 2014. No Tesla yet. No, I don't, right? No Teslas in 2014. Those were just a dream, right? In 2014,
I don't know. Did he have a Model S?
He
I don't know what the first year of the S was.
I wonder. The chat room look that up for us. What's the first year of a Tesla vehicle being offered or being able to be purchased here in the United States?
I'm pretty sure he didn't have the Roadster, which was the first.
Okay.
But
yeah, April 3rd, 2014, Paul Braren was on here. So Paul, thanks for doing that. We are well, before we get started, I do need to make a retraction. Like this almost never happens in the news anymore. When someone's wrong, Ed, have you seen a retract? Well, first of all, these showed up in newspapers, right? Nobody gets a newspaper anymore. Have you ever seen a retraction of any kind show up anywhere when somebody makes a mistake?
It's been decades since I saw anything like that.
Here on Home Gadget Geeks, we still issue retractions. So after 2 weeks ago when I had Gavin on, very beginning of the show, I made a terrible mistake. So around minute 4, I started talking about the weather and how we had a giant storm come through and the lights had flickered, but the power didn't go down. And I was disappointed that the power didn't go down because I have this new backup generator and I was kind of secretly inside hoping to use it. Well, my neighbor, Chainsaw Josh, that's what we call him, across the street from me. He's a line guy for OPPD, Omaha Public Power District. He spent 6 days working 16 hours a week fixing lines for that storm. He took a little issue to me wishing the power had gone down. So Josh, he's joking, of course. But Josh, I'm terribly sorry. I retract that. I hope that this neighborhood and all the neighborhoods around your service area never lose power again. You got to feel for those line guys, right, Ed?
Except for all the overtime. I mean, that part of it's got to be pretty nice.
That's true. That's true. So Josh, I'm retracting that. Sorry. He said I didn't need to worry about it, but I know I offended you. I'm sorry. I'll never wish, but I will, that the power never goes, even though it needs to, down any other time. So I can use my generator. Tony checked in. He said Roadster was 2008. Model S began. John says Model S began. Has it been? Right. It's really been that long?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's kind of. I always thought that was like a 2016 or 2015 thing.
Okay. The S was out.
All right.
Pretty early.
It doesn't seem like it's been that long. Ed, I've been talking this up for a couple weeks now.
Been teasing it, right?
You definitely didn't. You've made a new car choice, and it's not. You traded in your Tesla on something different. Talk a little bit about that. What got you to that decision?
And listen, I made a new car choice that even surprised me, but we'll get there. There's no political dimension to my decision to move away from the Tesla. Great car, but the warranty runs out at $50,000 on those, and sometime around $60,000, I had to replace the steering rack for $2,500. Then subsequently, probably around $70,000, I had to replace. It was one of the ECUs for the full self-driving, $2,500. And shortly after that, I had to replace the charge port for $500. So I was starting to feel like, this car is starting to cost me money. The other piece of that is, and this may vary depending on where you live in the country, but at least for me, the Tesla service center near me, every appointment's about 3 weeks out. So anytime anything happens, it's kind of, okay, we got to wait 3 weeks. And honestly, it's not in the best location for me either. To get to that service center is kind of a pain in the butt. But, I guess I got the 3 weeks to mentally prepare before I actually can get an appointment.
Before you have to get it. And would you, if you were and you're not a DIY guy, you're
No.
not into fixing your own car, but if you were, would you be able to would any of those could you have worked on any of those, do you think, if you weren't?
I mean,
Is there such thing as a DIY Tesla guy? Does that happen?
some of them, yeah, I think he could, certainly do any of those jobs, steering rack, I don't know what all is involved. You probably definitely need a lift for that.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
Yeah.
it aside from the diagnostics part of it, if you knew that one of the computers needed replacing, well, let's unplug it and plug a new one in,
Mm.
right? But
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
sort of the diagnostic to get to the point, where what you need to replace,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Charge port is, I think that one they actually sent somebody out for mobile service, and he was done in 20 minutes.
Mm.
So,
Yeah.
I think they're not terrible to work on. Uh,
My understanding is they're fairly simple and straightforward in a
yeah,
lot of ways, not as many parts as as an ICE car, so to speak.
right.
John was wondering, what was your battery degradation
Yeah,
at
so
the end?
at 80,000 miles, I was still at 94%,
Hmm, okay,
so nothing terrible at
yeah.
all.
So the next person picking up that car is gonna have plenty of battery life,
I
so to
I
speak.
don't think the batteries, they're
Yeah,
not turning out to be a big issue on these
okay,
cars.
yeah,
You're seeing more and more with 100,000 or even 200,000.
yeah.
So,
The
I
this
I
this
don't and
Go ahead.
the warranty on that anyway goes out to 8 years. I
Okay.
guess, I think it's 100,000 on those, so whoever gets has still got 20,000 miles warranty.
Yeah, 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 and I think, what do you feel? Did you when you went to sell it, did you take a look at the used car market for what they were going for now? Do you feel like are they taking a big hit on
Eh,
resale
uh,
back?
brutal hit,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah.
and I think typically, though, EVs, depreciate, even aside from Tesla, depreciate a little bit faster
Mhm.
than other vehicles.
Yeah.
But, in the Tesla world, they're down pretty substantially.
Do you think that's I mean, we don't have a lot of track record. We've got some. I mean, if we've got, 10 or 12 or 15 years of these now, but do we have enough track record to know how long, John says in the chat he's got 140 on his.
Oh, no, he's saying 120K for the battery warranty.
Oh, I got you. Oh, yeah, okay. That's for the battery. Okay. That's for the
Yeah.
battery. Sorry. Do you have any feeling for like, I wonder if we have a feeling how long, you buy a Honda and even with my Subaru, I'm thinking, man, at 100, I'm just breaking that thing in, so to speak. I got 245,000 miles out of that Honda before Sammy got in the accident. Do you as a Tesla owner, did you ever feel like you could kind of count on a quarter of a million miles, or is it just kind of a toss up because of
Hmm.
we just don't know,
Yeah, I don't know if I would
Yeah.
count on it, but, it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You are starting to see some pretty high mileage ones, and, maybe, if you're getting into that 250,000 miles, then the degradation might be, down to 80% of what it was,
Okay.
so
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Okay.
I don't think it's a big problem for most people.
Yeah. Well, it's just and then even if you did need to replace the batteries at some point, I mean, I replaced the batteries in the Honda. Those were 4 or 5 grand when I think 4 on warranty. I'm sure the Tesla battery is a little more expensive, but hey, you never did an oil change. So, wrap
No,
up that oil change money, right? Or
uh,
whatever.
well, listen, the only maintenance I ever had to do was, rotating tires, add some windshield washer
Yeah.
fluids,
No.
replace the cabin air filter a couple of times. little bit awkward where they place it,
Yeah.
but that's all right.
I took my Subaru in to get the oil changed, and they wanted to replace the cabin filter and the engine filter. The engine filter was $25. The cabin filter was $85, and I'm like, guys, it's
Mhm.
just underneath the dash. It's not that hard. Let's not get carried away. So I always have to tell them every time, and they always pull it out, and there's leaves in it. I'm like, okay, I'll clean that out when I get home. It's not such a big deal. It
Right,
sits outside. Mine,
and
mine like yours sits outside, so I get a few leaves in there.
yeah, I mean, maybe the Tesla's not that bad, it's just that I'm an old person, and,
Yeah.
when you're
Yeah.
down in the footwell, you know, contorting a little bit,
Yeah,
it seemed
for
a
sure.
bit awkward to me.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think they're banking a lot of folks don't even know that there is a cabin filter in there,
Right.
and so I think some folks are like, "Yeah, just take care of it," and so it's an easy it's an easy service for them to do. They've already got it pulled out because 'cause they're showing you a picture, and I've kinda noticed,
Right.
Subaru I don't know what Tesla did, but when I'm taking my Subaru in, I don't even talk to the folks anymore. They s they check me in, and then everything is via text. So they're like, here's what we found, and do you want any services?" And you can just select them on on the email, and then either they do them or they don't, and then if you sec no, they don't high pressure you, at least at our Subaru dealership. They're
No, I would say for the work I had done at Tesla, except for the mobile guy who came out to the house, I never talked to the people who did
yeah,
the work. Tesla sometimes can be frustrating because it's very difficult to call
mhm.
the service center and actually get information. Now, having said that, they do a pretty good job of putting all the updates into the app. So,
Yeah.
that was convenient, I found, but
Well, I wonder if, you think of companies like Honda and Toyota and Subaru and such, if they're not learning some of those service lessons. Like I mean, getting my car serviced for the last 20 years has always been the same experience. Take it in, mechanic walks over to you, "Hey, we found these things, you should really do this," or whatever, a clipboard. And I wonder if Tesla has put a little pressure on the rest of the manufacturers to streamline that service
mm,
experience and just make it more technically easy. I don't want to talk to those people. I just service it. Let me know what needs to be done. I have some ideas on the services that I want. Just let me make the decision. I want to talk to you about it.
you just get pictures or videos? I've seen
Pictures. I
yeah,
just get
some
pictures.
places, depending on what it is, will, be walking around,
Yeah,
shooting a video of the
exactly.
underside of the car or whatever the
Yeah,
problem area is.
yeah. One more question before we move on to what you considered for replacement. Did you ever crack the windshield on the front windshield on your Tesla? Did you ever have to have that replaced?
Jim, I believe you know the answer to that. I did. I don't recall exactly, it was almost 3 months, I think.
To get it replaced?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, that was COVID time, and that
Okay.
problem was not unique to
Right.
Tesla at
Right.
that time. Because when I talked to the insurance company about that, they said, "Yeah, uh, lots of manufacturers were having problems with getting replacement glass."
Yeah.
I wouldn't have minded so much except that, the crack was right across my line of sight, and I had
Yeah.
to wait months to get it done.
Yeah. Sammy came home the other day and she's like, I was driving behind a truck and I got some chips and was able to go in. USAA is our insurance. So they'll fix those chips for free. So
Mhm.
you just go in and schedule it and they come right out. My windshield what needed to be replaced. By the way, Subaru got busted for putting, and I didn't even know this existed, but windshields that weren't up to like crack standards. I don't
Huh.
know how to they weren't strong enough, and so
Disposable ones?
there was a class action lawsuit. I'm supposed to
Wow.
get some money back. We'll see how that goes. You know how that kind of stuff goes. But went on the app, Safe Light. They partner with Safe Light. They just come out
Yeah.
right out to your place and get those fixed. So, well, I just kind of wondered with the windshields. Did you have to go to Tesla to get the windshield replaced, or can a regular windshield service
The
replace them, or do you just not mess with it?
theoretically, Safelite does them. but then they tell you should go to Tesla to make sure that the cameras are all aligned properly
Yes. Yeah.
afterwards. So, I mean, what's the point then in
Right. Right.
in, going to Safelite if then you need to go to Tesla again? Having said that, I know a lot of people that have had Safelite do it, and the cameras didn't need any. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can recalibrate in the car, and
Yeah.
generally that's fine.
They do this all the time. They recalibrate the Subaru sensors too,
Yeah.
and it was fine. So good way to do it. John said he took a huge hit from a bolt on I-81 that was kicked up from a car in front of him, smacked my windshield hard. It was scratched, but did not crack.
Hmm.
Couldn't believe it. Bottom passenger corner. I'd still, I mean, for me, if that happened to me, I'd schedule that with Safelite and have them come look at it, because those guys look at cracks all the time, right? And they're, they kind of know. The one that I got on my Subaru, the technician from Safelite came out. He looked at it and said, "The second I touch that, it's going to crack." And he's like, "I could try, but if it cracks, you're going to have to replace the windshield." Like he made me sign something,
Mm.
and then sure enough, he put his thing on there. It just shot straight across. So no guarantee. Listen, he told me. I knew it was fine.
Do you have a deductible for glass out there?
500 is my
Yes.
glass deductible.
Massachusetts, no deductible for glass.
Oh, wow.
So,
I
yeah,
did
you
not
might
know.
as well get the stuff taken care of.
I'm moving, and I'm gonna. I guess maybe I need to move to Mass to get that.
What you save
Probably
there,
not worth it.
yeah, I don't
You'd
think
pay. You'd pay. Hey, let's dive into what you considered. Let me throw up the first one. Talk a little bit, and we'll roll through these. What'd you consider in the process of replacing this?
yeah, not necessarily this Dune edition,
Yeah,
but,
yeah,
I had a look at the 2025 Rivian R1T. I always liked the look of that, and
Mhm.
it's a cool truck. It, has plenty of range on it. Yeah, we gotta find the gear tunnel, Jim. Scroll down, that was the most fun.
Gear tunnel. What does that mean?
See right there.
Right there?
Yeah, see the space between the cab and the bed?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that flips down, and that's all
Oh, I
interior
got it.
storage.
Okay, nice, nice.
So, I got to the point where I scheduled a drive of one of those, and then, I had joined all the various groups on Facebook and wherever to, follow the progress, because this is the Gen 2 of the R1T. They were just coming out at that time, and boy, did they all seem to have problems.
Really?
Yeah, and I mean, often when they swap over, there's gonna be some initial problems, but, when I went to look at it, the service for that was gonna be way more inconvenient than the service for the Tesla. Is down in Chelsea in the Boston area, so,
Ooh,
anytime I wanted to have it serviced, I'd be dealing with a Boston commute to bring my car in and have
yeah,
it
and you're far
serviced.
enough away from Boston, that makes a difference, right, for
It
you.
really does. I
Yeah,
mean, if it was a bad morning where I had to get it there, it could be an hour and a half or more
yeah, yeah, yeah.
to drop it off, and
Wait a
then
minute, the Big Dig didn't fix that for you? No?
no,
No? Alright.
no, and then what do? You drop it off, and you get a loaner, and then you spend an hour and a half to get home, so that's 3 hours to drop your
Yeah,
truck off.
yeah,
It
and
just
then you gotta
didn't.
go back and do the same thing, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
probably at the afternoon rush
right,
hour time,
right,
so,
yeah, they'll call you at 4. "Hey, it's ready," right? "Come
and,
pick it up."
honestly, I've owned pickup trucks before. I wasn't really looking for a pickup truck, I just liked the concept of this one, but,
Yeah.
once I saw the initial issues and started thinking about the service, I had to take that one off the table.
Okay. Okay, so that one's out. What's
That's
next?
out.
What's next?
Next, I had a look at the Lucid Air, and I don't Lucid's got a lot going for it in terms of the range, and honestly, I'm more of a sedan guy than an SUV or a
Yeah,
truck guy, so
yeah.
I thought I should have a look at this, and really, this was the newest version they came out with. To make it more affordable, they have a rear-wheel drive only one. When I say more affordable, this is still an $80,000 car.
Mhm.
And then I looked at that, and again, it's a service problem. You know, a lot of these new car companies, they don't have a big dealer network. You know, they have their corporate service locations. And I really did not wanna deal with a lot of service hassle this time around. You know, I was sort of already feeling like, with Tesla, I was kinda burnt out on this bring it in 3 weeks
Right. Right.
kind of thing. But beautiful car. I think the reviews on it are great, but, yep,
Yeah.
see?
Tony says
Beautiful
beautiful
car.
cars. Someone
Yeah.
at his daughter's school has one.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I'm
yeah,
showing I mean, here's the interior is you're looking at the dash display, and then it's got the big display down and away from the driver,
right.
which seems a little. I mean, Tesla's all up front, right? All in eye range.
Mhm.
You could just poke your eyes back up and you'd be on the road,
Right,
so to speak.
right, and so, you know, my guess would be that, w down there you'd have things like HVAC controls and all of that, and that's really taking your eyes off the road
That
to be
really
using that
it
screen.
re it really is. I mean, I have that similar screen on my Legacy, but it's up higher, right?
Right,
It's not far from the dash. It's still down. There's
yeah,
been a couple times I've went down to adjust my HVAC, the HVAC in there, and then the car's gone, letting me know someone stopped in front of
yeah,
me.
and,
Um,
you know, you were in my Model 3, that screen is up,
yeah,
right? You're
right,
not
right.
not looking down to
Yeah.
that, but,
Beautiful
very
seats.
nice, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They did a great job with it, but just not for me, I
Yeah,
guess.
okay. Well, that's a good look at that one. Still pretty pricey on that one. And only were rear wheel drive, or did they
It's
offer.
available in all-wheel drive, but,
Okay,
you know, then you're starting at probably closer to 90,000,
okay, okay.
and
There's
I
there's
don't need to be paying that for a car,
yeah. There's a good look at that screen. Beautiful screen, but it just
you know?
seems a little far away. And all of the HVAC controls digital. This has been
Yeah.
a big debate lately of like, do I get the controls? Like, I'd like most of my HVAC to be buttons, just to be 100% honest.
Yeah.
I don't wanna be touching screens. So listen, the Subaru's had trouble with it's having trouble with, in fact, the warranty on that screen that I have just got
Mhm.
extended to 8 years. So they're obviously having trouble with it. From time to time, it locks up. From time to time, it does weird things. I know in the Tesla, it probably never did that, but I don't want those controls on something that could just shut
Right.
off in the middle of you driving,
I
right?
will say this about the Tesla, that their auto climate control
Yeah.
was phenomenal. I don't
Mhm.
know if I touched it in 2 years' time,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
just set it to 70 and forget it.
Well, and maybe that's the future of HVAC in your car is you just set it and forget it. Like, do you need to be
Ideally,
messing
that would
around
be
with it?
great, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah.
always work out
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah. Right on. All right. What was next?
What do we got next? Ah, oh, see, that's 2023, but I was looking at the 2025,
Sure. Sure.
very similar look, and,
And this is the
Genesis,
Genesis, right?
right, which is, you know, Hyundai's
Yep.
luxury brand. Very nice looking car. They did a good job with it, you know, aside from US makers, I think, Kia Hyundai is doing some of the most interesting things with EVs. And I was gonna go drive this till I realized that for some strange reason, I think the range on this is around 250
Mm,
miles. You know, it's still a $70,000 vehicle, and it just doesn't make any sense to me 'cause, you know, a lot of their Kia models are 300 plus miles of range, and at 250, it starts to become a problem for me, right? Because they recommend charge it to 80%. Now I'm at 200
Right.
miles of range. Okay, let's throw winter on top of that. Now I'm at 150 or less, and it just didn't seem viable to me. But they're making gorgeous interiors in the Genesis now.
Well, and I'm showing their dash. That looks like a fairly traditional
Yeah,
dash, right? In there.
and I
It's
think they just came out with another one. Maybe it's the 2026 even. See, that's not bad, the charging in
yeah,
the
that's a good
front.
look. There's your white interior.
Yeah, I don't need a white interior, but they do a nice job with the interiors.
Yeah. Well, and it looks like so it does look like it's kind of a combination of,
Yeah,
physical controls, looks like it's got dials, it's got some screen, and then it's either heads up display or that must be a
I
narrow
think
wide
that
screen on the
yeah, I
top,
think
right?
that actually may retract into the dash on
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah. But
But, I think there was sort of a difference between the ones who started ground up as an EV. Those tend to be the big screens, not many physical controls.
yeah.
The traditional car makers sort of came at it from a different point of view, which is really, okay, how are we gonna sell this to people that aren't tech nerds, right,
Yeah.
and still
Right.
want things, in places where they would normally find them?
Yeah, I mean, for the average guy, so to speak, who hasn't been spending a lot of time, who may be in that ecosystem already, likes those cars, but wants to go electric and
Right.
but wants to stay with it or something similar, right? I mean, I listen, we were seeing some of these heads up displays or some of these screens
Yeah.
before the EV stuff started coming out, right?
Yep.
They were showing up in
They were starting to
yeah.
pop up and a lot of them started to pop up as smaller infotainment, that's
Right.
all they were using it for.
Maps. Yeah,
Yep,
maps or Apple, Apple CarPlay or Android
yep.
CarPlay. That's not what they call that, but anything
Android
else?
Auto.
Yeah, Android Auto. There you go. Thank
Yeah.
you. Any other thoughts on this before we move on to the
I
next one?
It just was a non-starter when I saw the range on it,
Yeah.
I really wouldn't consider anything with, fewer than 300 miles
No.
range.
My son works on these. So this is
On the
he's in a
Genesis?
Kia, he's works for a Kia Hyundai
Yeah.
shop. So he's a master mechanic for them. So he's got some insight into these. Sarah we would like listen, I appreciate you bringing up the range because that would be important for us as well.
Mhm.
But she likes this. I think she likes this more physical design as opposed to a
Yeah.
complete, massive screen in the middle of a car, so to speak, right? So let's go to the next one.
The next one. This I never got too serious with, although this is probably getting the best reviews of the non-Tesla SUVs.
And for audio, this is the BMX iX.
BMW iX.
iX, yeah. What did I say?
And
BMX? Did I say
yeah,
that's the bicycle?
right, I
BMX,
considered that, Jim, but the range at my age.
BMW.
But, the problem with this is, number 1, boy, that front grille is ugly.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah,
know, I don't know what you remember BMW always had the kinda kidney-shaped grill, and now they've sort of morphed it into something that, to my eye, is somewhat disturbing. But,
yeah,
part of it for this is, I mean, look at the price. It better
right.
be the best one
Yeah,
for that.
90 to 115.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
realistically, if you've ever gone through and configured BMWs, it's one of these where you get the, MSRP, but then you gotta add so many options to get what you want that, that'd be for if I configured it, it'd probably be in the 90s. I'm not sure I'm comfortable spending that kind of money on a vehicle,
yeah, yeah.
but
I'm trying to get to the display here. They're showing a lot of
they should.
There we go. A little bit from the top. Let's scroll down. There we go. There's a display for you. There's the dash. Not a very big monitor in there,
No,
to be honest.
I mean, I think that's another display right in front of the driver that's partially hidden by
Yeah.
the steering wheel.
Yeah.
But I don't know, BMW does usually a pretty nice interior.
They, when I lived in Germany back in the 80s, Mercedes, BMW, known for their traction, right? I mean, no, those were cars that were built for the Autobahn.
Oh, yeah.
And in the 80s, the Autobahn, you could go fast. I'm not saying you can't go fast now, but that was the golden for me. Well, maybe it's because I lived there, but it seemed to be the golden age of the Autobahn. It just seemed to be where vehicle engineering for speed
Yep.
and the place you could go unlimited came together in one
Yeah.
one place.
So
It's
when was that, 90s?
no 80s, late 80s. So
Late
80s,
80s.
I got there in 86, left in
Yeah.
89.
Yeah, so I spent a lot of time in Germany in the 80s working for a German computer company. And yeah, I mean, at that stage, all the German companies were making Autobahn cruisers. You know, at one point we rented a Audi 100, and boy, that was an Autobahn cruiser, I think. That might have been the fastest I ever drove was, 240 kilometers an hour on the Autobahn.
Yeah, it's crazy. That is unreal. As an American, never going faster. I mean, the 80s, I mean, 65 or 70 was
Right.
fast, right? For us. And I remember getting in a Mercedes. A buddy had rented his car was in the shop for some work, and so he rented a Mercedes. And I remember going 110, 120 miles an hour, maybe 130 for the first time, and you could feel the car like drop into the road, like suck into the road. And I think I felt safer at 120 than I felt at 75, you know?
Well, also, it was German drivers. They follow the rules.
That's true.
If you're not
That's very
passing,
true.
you're not in that lane.
That's very true.
You
Yeah,
know, because
that's very
you could
true.
be going 120 miles an hour, and a Porsche will come right up behind you in a hurry.
Yeah, flick the lights.
Yeah, get out of the way. They love that light.
They really did.
Yeah.
They really did. Yeah. So, do you think for these EVs now, do you get so they're expensive. Do you get the suspensions that you're getting?
So
Are you the value of the suspension in these cars?
yeah, I mean, a lot of them are starting to use adaptive suspensions, air suspensions, essentially. So, Tesla does that on their Model S, Model X. I personally found the Model 3 a little bit stiff for my taste. That one is not an air suspension. And you're going to feel all the road imperfections, of which we have plenty
Mhm.
in my area. There,
Yeah, we do in Omaha too, for
yeah,
sure. Yeah.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
that was somewhat of a consideration for me, as I'm looking through things. I actually wanted how shall we say, better riding, more luxurious interior.
Yeah.
I know the Teslas are categorized as luxury vehicles. I don't know. They feel kind of Spartan to me.
Okay.
I mean, they're
Yeah.
feature-rich vehicles, but
Right.
I'd have trouble calling the Model 3 a luxury vehicle.
Yeah. Well, even based on all the examples we've seen, and you drove an Audi before you
I
drove
did.
this one, right? And
Yeah.
so maybe would you feel like that's a step down in the luxury when you think about what's available in those cars?
You mean from Audi to
Audi to Tesla, yeah. Did you take a
Yeah.
step down? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I always felt like, okay, well, you're not getting quite the luxury level.
Yeah.
Now what you are getting are, a boatload of features,
Yeah.
and the
Pretty,
tech was great.
pretty amazing tech, right?
Yep.
But it's yeah, it does seem like it. We got one more that you looked at. Let's look at that one.
All right. And this is the Acura ZDX. So Acura is sort of the luxury brand of Honda. And, I was looking at this, and this is what really led me to the next one. Because when you start to look at Honda and really Toyota, really the Japanese brands were falling woefully behind
Mm,
in the EV market because I think they just didn't believe in it.
mhm.
I think Toyota was chasing hydrogen for a while. Honda seemed to be mostly just in denial.
Well, they had their hybrid line for a long time, still do, but I
As
denial is a great word.
Toyota,
Yeah,
right? But,
yeah, yeah.
they were sorta sticking with that and saying, "We believe hybrid's really the way to go." Uh, it's interesting, though, when I started digging into this vehicle, it's actually built on the GM Ultium platform.
Mm,
This is a GM vehicle, all accurate up. But, then as I started to look at it, I said, "Okay, well, now that's interesting." But I think this is kind of a one and done partnership with GM while they were starting to develop vehicles of their own.
sure, sure, something to get something out there.
Right, so I started to say to myself, "Well, okay, it meets most of my requirements, but do I wanna be in a one and done?"
Yeah, right.
Right, yeah, how's the service gonna be over time?
Yeah.
And, really, they don't have, obviously, as much EV experience. So, you can run into a trouble with the traditional guys too. You say to yourself, "Well, they got a lot of convenient dealerships near me."
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they might have one EV guy
right.
on their
Yeah,
staff.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
I think some of that's changed at least at Chevrolet. They've got quite
Mm.
a few EVs on the road now.
Yeah, and Tim, where my son, where he works, they have a couple, and, he's
Yeah,
qualified in it. So they're doing I think they're doing more.
yep,
But, yeah, no, I think you're right. And as we're looking at the dash of this, it's very traditional looking,
yep.
right? I mean, pop-up display that probably comes out of the dash and then comes up, right? When you start the car, that probably
Yeah,
goes
that would be
down.
my guess.
Yeah,
And
and then 100% physical dials for your HVAC. Like, I mean, it could not be no, if you like that, I mean, that works, but
mhm.
this looks very traditional to me, when we think about a car. If you're comfortable with that, like, great. There you go. Now, it was 320, right? I think toward 320 miles on the range on something like this,
Yeah,
plus
it was in
500
that
horsepower. Yeah.
325, yeah.
Did you have did you have a range before we look at what you picked? Did you have a range what's your minimum? For
300
okay.
in my head, if it's 290, well, okay, maybe, but,
Yeah,
when I was seeing 250, it just
yeah,
seemed not to be where I wanted to be.
yeah. Yeah, any other when you think of things, like, did the dash matter for you? I mean, we already talked about upholstery, and you were looking for something maybe a little more
A little more
premium.
plush.
Premium.
Yeah.
Uh, like just a little bit more. Anything else along those lines that you were looking for in this next vehicle
No,
that
it was sorta, I'll know it when I see it.
okay,
And,
okay.
Tony says he sat in the Honda Prologue, which is also built on GM's platform.
Mm.
And
I
they're
would
selling actually pretty well, the Honda. Once you put the Honda name on a GM,
yeah,
then it'll sell better.
yeah. Well, and I imagine most of the traditional car makers are gonna have better interior. They've been doing it a lot longer, right?
Yeah,
And
I
you
mean,
know?
when you look at it, I think Tesla was, they were going for that aesthetic in
Right.
those vehicles,
Mhm.
very minimal. So, I think that either appeals to you or it doesn't,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah,
It wasn't my favorite, but for me at that point, it was sort of a trade-off of, well, the tech is great in this car,
yeah, yeah.
because even if you go back 4 years ago, nobody was close even 4 years ago. The
Mhm.
gap has closed quite a bit in
Yeah.
those 4 years.
Yeah. Well, the fact that you bought something other than a Tesla tells me there are some, and you and I talked about this a bunch,
Yeah.
that there are some. I mean, you and I have been talking about this over the last couple, months. It was a few months ago when we first started talking about it. But it's getting as you were explaining this, I mean, you were telling me things like,
Yeah.
that's okay, that's
It's
interesting,
it's getting yeah, I mean, everybody's getting a little bit better.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Tesla's moving in smaller increments, but they were already ahead of everybody.
Right. Right. Yeah. For sure.
You know, and
Yeah.
even our friend Aaron drove an EV, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that was the Kia EV9,
Mhm.
which is,
Mhm. She
their
really liked it. She really liked it. Okay, we've stalled long enough, Ed. Let's drum roll, right? What'd you pick up?
all right. This is the Cadillac Lyriq, which is built on the same platform as that Acura ZDX.
Mm,
So, basically the same innards. And, what I like better about this, and this is gonna be a sorta matter of personal taste. I happen to like the styling of it. I think it's fairly unique looking, and really, when you look at it, it is classified as an SUV. It seems more like, a wagon to me,
yeah,
a souped up wagon than an
crossover,
SUV. Yeah,
crossover SUV.
crossover.
Yeah.
So, that was one plus. I like the styling, and again, so many of the manufacturers now don't seem to have interesting colors anymore. And so I liked the color palette on this one. Um,
Which is green, but it's a forest green, evergreen. What's the name of it?
Emerald Lake is
Emerald.
what it's called.
Emerald Lake.
Um,
It's a
you know,
it's
it
dark green, right? Almost looks black at night, right?
Yep, and then in the sun, you'll see sort of the emerald color, you know, nice enough rims on it. I'm not a fan of big wheels, but it came with 20-inch wheels.
Mhm.
I think I didn't even upgrade the wheels on the Model 3 I had. The 18s are fine. I think for me, big wheels give you worse ride and more trouble. Although, with the suspension in this, they did not go adaptive suspension on this, but it's a very good suspension, very comfortable ride.
I mean, what's
Uh,
Cadillac known for, right? The ride. It's
uh,
gotta be a good
it
ride, right?
it it's plush. I saw one reviewer calling it a luxury barge, so I kinda like that.
It's like the Buick of
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
So, they've got, a 33-inch LED wraparound screen that we see there.
Mhm.
It's kinda broken into 3 sections. All the way on the left is a couple simple menu control things for, things like, headlights and that sort of thing, although generally just leave it on auto. There's a whole bunch of different configurations for the, driver display side, and then all the apps and stuff are over on the right side there. Now, as of right now, my model has, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but, GM's moving away from those. So I don't know if future versions will have it. They got rid of it on all the Chevys now, I think, except maybe the Corvette, but they're phasing out
Hmm,
Apple.
hmm. Wow,
And
that's bold.
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 Yeah, this isn't Android Auto, it's a
Yeah,
version of Android they're running.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and they have a good integration with Google Maps, so I'm just using Google Map
On
for
your iPhone.
no, no,
No.
in the car.
Oh, in the car. So you're not even plugging your phone in, or are you?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm not a big Apple
Okay.
CarPlay guy.
Okay.
I mean, usually all I listen to is podcasts in the car.
Yeah.
Do I need the whole Apple Car? No, Bluetooth is fine for
Is
me.
the car connected all the time? Does it have its own service plan, or are you
It
using your
does.
phone?
It
Okay.
does.
Yeah.
I think you get first 3 years for free,
Okay.
and then I haven't checked into what the charges are. Yeah, so you know, in the price of the car, you get the hotspot, all of that stuff, and there's all your HVAC control.
Yeah, 100% buttons there on that one.
100%
Is
buttons.
there a charging in the Tesla, there was a place you could drop your phone and it would queue or
Yeah,
whatever that
this
was.
one is it doesn't have the, 2 bays for it, it's actually in the armrest. So
I just lost the picture.
oh,
How
man,
do
we had pictures
I
and
know. Where how do I get back to that, do you think? Summary?
was that when you clicked on the
I
actual image of the car?
Yeah, and I zoomed into it, and then when I picked it up, it
Right,
disappeared.
but I think if you click on that image, doesn't it bring
Okay.
up the viewer?
Oh, there we go, and then
And then
interior view.
interior.
There we go, okay. Thanks, Ed. Good thing I have a tech guy here.
You see where the cup holders are and
Yeah,
the way that's angled?
yeah.
You can't see it from that angle, but there's a drop-in charger there. So it's a
Neat.
one phone thing, but
Okay, okay.
what I like about it is, they actually have active cooling in there.
Oh, nice.
'Cause,
Of course they do.
if anybody's used some of these chargers in a car,
Yeah,
almost always they're gonna tell you at around 80%, "It's too hot now, I'm not
yeah,
gonna charge anymore
yeah,
right now."
yeah, yeah.
So,
Yeah, you're right about that. You are right about that. Mine's on, up by the dash, and if
yeah,
it's a warm day,
it
it's
does
like,
not
"Hey,
like it, right?
hey." Yeah, I don't like that at all. Here's a g Now, what color interior did you pick on that one?
Mine's a black interior with the still got that same blue piping that you see in the middle of the seat there.
Mhm. Are these, do the headrests have cooling or heating coming out of them? They look or speakers? What's that?
Those are speakers,
Okay.
so, uh, this
Be fun.
if you get the, level 2 model, which I did, it's a 17 speaker AKG stereo system
Oh my god.
with
For
with
for your podcasts?
with active noise cancellation.
Oh, okay. That
And
that for the road or obviously, right, for the road.
yep,
Yeah,
yep.
for the road noise.
Um, and this is not a small vehicle, its dimensions are about the same size as the Model X, so you get pretty good space in the
Mhm,
rear seat.
mhm.
And the storage is adequate,
Yeah.
I don't think it's best in class for cubic feet of storage, but more than I need.
What's been your okay, so you've had this for a month? Is that are we
Yeah,
at 4
probably
weeks now?
about a month is fair because it may be a little longer, but, I've been away a couple
Yeah,
times
yeah,
in the time I've
yeah,
had it.
yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I've had enough time with it. I think I've got about, 1,600 miles on it now,
Okay.
and, I sorta came up with a list of, comparison with Tesla. What's better on Tesla, and what is this one doing better than Tesla? And clearly, the Tesla app is in a whole different world from the Cadillac app. I mean, these guys are car makers. Software kinda secondary on this. Does it work? Usually. I can remote start my car and, that's the main function I use, but, I think the thing I may miss the most is being able to use my phone as a key. I didn't carry a key fob for 4 years,
Mhm,
and
mhm.
they do not have that on the Cadillac. Um, here here's a strange one that I just got so used to is the Tesla automatically turns off the turn signal. Right, so I think it's part of the FSD, and well, why can't it? It knows when you've completed the turn, right? So even if you're moving over a lane on the highway, it knows when you're done doing that. And so now I found myself a couple times in the Cadillac. I'm like the old man in the Cadillac, the blinkers just on because that
Tick,
wasn't
tick,
a
tick, tick,
thing I've
tick.
thought
Blinkers
about
on.
for
Blinkers on.
a number of years.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. My
Uh-huh.
kids remind me of that sometimes. Dad, your blinkers on. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Turn it off.
So Tesla will charge faster. If I remember right, the max charge rate on the Lyriq is 190 kilowatt, I think, but I could be wrong, but I'm not a road tripping guy, so it doesn't make a ton of difference to me. The Tesla UI is clearly superior. You know, I find that to accomplish similar tasks, I may need an extra click or two
Mhm.
on the Cadillac. You know, the Tesla was faster, although this car is still 0 to 60 in 4.6 seconds, so it's not slow or anything. It's sort of interesting too the way they've tuned it. It does not give you the neck snapping acceleration. You know, it sort of doesn't kick you in the teeth with the lowest end torque, but it picks up very rapidly. I think it would scare the old people, you know, if
For sure it would. Yeah. You're gonna hurt them. You're gonna break some ribs,
yeah.
you know? Yeah. Yeah.
I'd say I miss the Tesla buying process. That was pretty sweet. You know, none of the haggling, none of the nonsense, right? Uh, Folks are asking the range on it. It's an all-wheel in the all-wheel drive. It's 315 miles of range for that car. I think if it matters, 515 horsepower for the dual motor. So you know, it's not a slug or anything.
Would you try to tow with it?
I probably wouldn't, although I
No.
think there is a tow rating on it. I haven't checked it, so I think they
That has been the Cybertruck's gotten hammered for its towing, right? I mean, that's just
don't pieces fall out? No, that's
well,
just
that's
driving. The towing is a different
yes, exactly. Anyways, we're not here to talk about the Cybertruck.
No, we don't wanna be mean to the
No, no, we don't
Cybertruck.
need a Cybertruck. It's drug.
Uh, Tesla somehow in the cabin had more storage. You know, if you remember the interior picture, you know, it had the armrest and then just kind of an empty space almost down at the floor level,
Mm. Mhm.
you know, whereas Tesla had covered storage in 2 different spots. This just has it in the armrest with which Tesla had, but then they had a sliding door with more storage, right?
Does the center console down low there, does that it looks like it's got a bar to open that up. Does that like a is that a sunglasses holder or is that just like a glove compartment or
It's a small compartment, you
okay,
know? You could probably get some sunglasses in
yeah,
it,
something like that or whatever.
something like
Put
that,
your phone
but
in there. Cords, cables, that kind of stuff.
that kinda junk.
Sure.
But, you know, I think
Yeah.
Tesla did a little better with places to put things in the cabin, but I don't know, maybe I just have too many things. And, you
Yeah.
know, the surprising
Well,
thing is
you've got cigars and
I got
lighters and
cutters, I got
yeah,
lighters, I got
you
things.
got stuff. You have important things.
The interesting thing is, yeah, I mean, that's a 17 speaker AKG audio system in there, and yeah, the Tesla one was better
Mhm.
on the Tesla Model 3 long range. I think their entry level system, which they had in the rear wheel drive, was kinda crap, But Tesla did a really good job on the audio systems in their car. I forget where they hired all the people away from. Might have been Harman Kardon or somewhere, but
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
they got a whole bunch of hardcore audio engineers to put that together. Unfortunately, Tesla wins for their dash cam Sentry mode since the Cadillac does not have it.
No.
They talk about it as a future feature. I don't know. We'll see, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully no one's coming to vandalize my car, so I don't need it as much. Tesla's nailed the over-the-air updates.
Yeah.
Cadillac's still working on that, although I did get one this past week and it installed fine. Tesla's also got the infotainment win because, you've got YouTube, Netflix, etc. just built in, which I don't know, for most people, do they care? You might want to watch a YouTube while you're charging or something. It wasn't the end of the world for me.
Right.
But I would say, that's about it for the Tesla wins. They had a lot of wins.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's fair. I mean, I think sometimes you make a decision like this, you try to tear down the other one to justify what you're doing. So I think you did a nice job. Those all make sense.
No, I love the Model 3. Like I say, it was just time for a change.
Right.
Okay, on the Cadillac side, it wins on just the luxury of it. The seats are great.
It's comfortable, right? I mean,
the seats are, heated, ventilated massage seats. Massage is a little questionable, but whatever. The ride there's no ride comparison. The Cadillac is way better. Now, having said that, the Cadillac's not meant to be a sporty car. So, like, if you want to go carve up mountain roads, the Cadillac's not the car for you. Although they are coming out with, Cadillac souped up stuff or V series. In 2026, they're going to come out with a V series of the Lyriq, which I'm sure will be much better tuned with a sport suspension. Cadillac wins on auto windshield wipers, which are a disaster on Tesla. I think this was an Elon theory that you could do it with cameras instead of rain sensors. So sometimes I'm going into blinding sun and my windshield wipers are scraping across a dry windshield. So I just never thought that the auto wipers quite got dialed in on that Tesla. Listen, I wanted some blind spot monitoring again. I want an indicator in the side view mirror. I mean, Tesla semi-addressed that by, you put the blinker on, and on the screen, it shows you a view from the camera in the mirror. But, more often than not for blind spot, it's the left side that I care about. I'm moving over in a lane on the highway. So now I put my blinker on. In the Tesla, I have to look away from the mirror in order to, see that blind. A little light is all I need, so I much prefer just having an indicator.
Yeah. Most cars do. That's the standard, right? It's just a light on your mirror that says, hey, it's flashing or whatever. Says there's somebody in your blind spot, right? It's pretty easy.
And Generally, the blind spot is not terribly big if you actually have your mirrors adjusted appropriately.
Right.
You know, most people tend to have a portion of their mirror showing them the side of the car, which,
Right.
believe me, it's there.
Yeah.
You know, you
Yeah.
don't
You
need
just need
to
a
see
little
that.
bit of it. You just need a little bit. That's all you
You
need.
you actually don't need any of
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
You just have to know that you've captured
Right.
you're up against the side, but we don't need to see it. It's there,
Right.
Jim.
Right. Yes.
Um,
Indeed.
I like the styling better. It's more unique, but that's
When you
a
say styling, you mean the outside
yeah,
styling of it? Yeah.
yeah. I mean, that's a personal
Trim.
preference thing.
Trim, right, yeah.
For me, w I didn't really think, I wanted to get another of the Model 3. Well, first off, he got rid of the stalks on the steering wheel, although they may be coming back. That was a step too far for me, you know? It it just I don't wanna be pressing buttons on my steering wheel to indicate lane changes.
Right.
But, the other thing too is I feel like there's too many of them around now. I like to have something that's a little different from
Yeah.
everything on the road,
Yeah.
and, I think over time, man, they're just not making many changes to the models.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't know, Model 3, maybe 2018, 6 years. It's due for a big change, but then look at the Model S, 2012. Looks pretty damn similar
Mhm.
13 years
Mhm.
later.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
I guess they find something they like and they stick with it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they've been doing other things to the car too, right? They've been trying to get that self-driving working for a while,
Listen, yeah,
right? Yeah. So, yeah.
that's true.
Yeah.
Um, there's absolutely no comparison on fit and finish between these vehicles,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
where Tesla wins big time on the software, Cadillac wins big time on the fit and finish of the vehicle.
The
Although,
actual hardware.
yeah,
Right.
to
Yeah, yeah.
to be fair, Tesla has improved significantly over time. They're just still not
Yeah.
there, or maybe they don't intend to get to that level. There there is a theory that, you can make things better than they need to be in order to sell the vehicles. Uh, the Cadillac is way quieter on the interior.
Mm.
I think 100 years of figuring out luxury sound deadening
Yeah.
is really helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not even sure what the impact of the active noise cancellation is.
Right.
I'll have to play with that a little bit, but it probably helps to some degree. Um, then we come to FSD versus Super Cruise. So Tesla's got their full self-driving um, on city streets, right? So you can turn that on anywhere, even on, my dark, almost one-lane road that leads to my house.
Mhm.
What I found my own experience, and I know this varies a lot depending on the roads you're driving on. Man, I couldn't use it at all on back roads.
Mm.
Just, it'd only take it driving for about a minute until it hit a giant pothole somewhere.
Mm.
You know, it does not detect those.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it really made me nervous the way it drove,
Yeah.
you know? Like, part of it is where I drive, there's a pretty significant curve in a 1.5 lane road, and it would decide to take the middle of that road to go around the blind curve.
Right.
That's not the way I would approach it. So, I
Yeah.
found that, yeah, this isn't solving a problem for me, it's just
Right.
making me, very anxious.
Yeah.
Now, having said that, the Tesla was great on the highway. no problems with it there. And the GM Super Cruise is, I think, equally good on the highway. However, they need the area mapped so it's not available everywhere.
Okay.
And I think it may just be divided roads where they've mapped it at all. But, I think overall, I wasn't using the FSD on city streets. So no net loss for me there.
Right. And I mean, for me, I like driving. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't want city street full self-driving. I'm not interested in that.
No,
But
I'm fine with
highway though.
adaptive cruise control, to
Yeah.
be honest with
Yeah.
you, because
Yeah.
I don't wanna be arguing with the car about whether I want it to change lanes or not change lanes.
Yeah. 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 No, and it's enough. Yeah, I'm one of those guys that would be sleeping at the wheel if I didn't have anything to do. Like I need a little bit of, I kind of need to be engaged in it. And I like the adaptive cruise and the lane assist that comes with my car. I
Yeah,
really, really like. And it gives me enough that I'm relaxed when I'm driving, in the old
yeah,
cars, you'd have to be paying attention 100% of the time, right? This really, with adaptive cruise, it really sets it up nicely.
yeah.
Would full self-driving be great? Yeah, maybe. I would only use it on the freeway, just to be honest.
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
which then
yeah,
are you doing much more
right.
than
Yeah.
using the adaptive cruise control?
Yeah. No, right on, right on. And, John says in chat, he uses his doesn't surprise me. He uses his every single drive.
Yeah,
And yeah, no, great. Awesome. I actually I like to drive, and I like to be in control of it. And so it is, and John says, people who not you, Jim, say they like driving. I
right.
see 50% heads down on their phones every time they're out on the road. I'm not gonna lie, even on full self-driving, if your eyes are not on the road, there's a problem,
Yep.
right? You're not on a train. You're in
No.
a car. And there's lots of things that can happen on the road, things falling into it, children running across it. I don't know. Yeah, and you say this to me, Ed, all the time. There's other drivers who don't have full self-driving. That
Right.
is the problem, right? They're the problem.
Yeah,
And so I'm not skeptical. Listen, maybe there's a day when this is gonna work well,
yeah.
but for today, I'm a control freak. I wanna be in control of my car.
Well,
I actually like to drive.
yeah, I don't know how deep
Yeah.
into it they are yet, but how many times have you been driving down the road and you see somebody way up ahead and you say, "I gotta be careful with that
Yeah,
person."
for
They're
sure.
drifting all the time, and
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
least last time I was in the Tesla, it doesn't think like that. It's still gonna pass, and
Mhm.
listen, maybe it'll move over when the other car drifts into the
Yeah.
lane,
Yeah, yeah.
hopefully, but
Yeah.
some of it is about being proactive when you're driving.
Yeah. No, it's yeah. Listen, everybody comes to this in their own way. So I'm not saying you got to like it or you got to do it that way or full self-driving isn't the future. I think it is. I don't think it's today because I don't think it's effective until we get 100% of the
Yeah.
cars out there using, like, I'd love to live in a world where every car knew what every other car was doing,
Yep.
that right around it. And I'd love to live in a world where I could program that in and know that those cars know what the other cars are doing and I could get there safely. I'd be fine with that. In Nebraska, there's just too many. There's just not enough,
Yeah.
right? And so that's just for me. That's just not my. That's just
Yeah.
not. Ed, anything else? You've got some accessories that we're going to cover. I think I'm going to have you back on because I think talking through some of the accessories that you bought, some of the things that you've got. I think that's a whole nother show. Are you
It
okay
it
with that?
could it could be. Why
Yeah.
not?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because I think there's some, like, the things we put in our car. I was just thinking about this the other day
Yeah.
because I knew you were coming on. I was looking in my back seat, like, what do I have in here? Like, what have I put in my
You
car?
probably have more than you thought you did,
I
right?
did. I did. I have a whole bucket in the back of the car that's just got a bunch of things in it that
Yeah.
you're like, why do I keep these? Oh, that's why. So
Yeah.
we'll have you.
Tire
Well,
pressure gauges, you need one of those in the car.
yeah, yeah. Well,
Um,
it's there's some tools like as you and I won't give it away, but as you and I were talking about this on
yeah.
Sunday, you talked about a tool that I was like, oh,
Oh,
I never
do I
thought
need
about
that?
keeping one of those in my car.
Well,
And so we'll talk about that
yeah,
some.
the final plus,
Yeah.
and we did talk about, I like the sunroof, and it is full panoramic glass on this as well, all the way front to back, but what the Cadillac has that I love is it's got a power shade.
Oh,
So you press a button and the power shade comes. And you can stop that anywhere along the way. So if you just want to cover the roof for the back seats all the way up to
is
the
it in
front.
between the glass? Or I didn't realize
Um,
this had a full glass
oh,
top.
yeah. Glass
Okay.
all the way.
Is it in
Front, front,
between? Is it like how does
nope.
that is it on tracks? Like I was afraid that thing would
Yeah.
a kid would rip that thing out.
Yeah, no. So there's a space that accommodates it between
Okay.
the headliner and the glass roof.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
And, it'll retract and
Yeah.
store
Nice.
back behind.
Yeah.
There are some now that, have some of that magic glass, that will, actually adapt to block out more of the sunlight,
Yeah.
but this
Well,
one is just plain old-fashioned barrier.
just a something that comes out and blocks the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It would be cool if it would frost. Like, the old
They have those now, though,
yeah. Yeah.
some
Yeah.
of the high-end
That's not new technology, right?
No.
We have offices that do that kind of stuff, but well, that's super cool. Yeah. Tony's like, okay, Blade Runner. When I was talking about everybody knowing where everybody else is going, yeah, I think that's what he was talking about. And then John said, full self-driving has no kidding saved me from 4 accidents that would have happened if I was driving. Well, then, John, you're not a very good driver.
Oh,
Let's just
whoa,
no,
boy, harsh
just
words.
kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. Now I have to do a retraction on the next podcast for no, John's here. I was just kidding, John. I was just kidding.
The other thing that, it wasn't a deal breaker, but I do prefer to have LiDAR, which Tesla has moved away from. Now my 2021 had it, and I don't know. I've seen, and maybe Tesla's improved it, but for quite some time after they removed it for their vision only, it didn't seem very good at gauging distances to objects.
Okay.
Right, because, when I had my LiDAR, if I was pulling up, to a wall, for example, it very accurately told me how many inches I was away from that
Yeah.
wall,
Yeah.
and
Yes. Yeah.
I think that's been harder for them to accomplish with vision only.
Yeah.
I don't know if you watched that YouTube video where somebody set up like a Roadrunner wall.
No.
So
No.
just
No.
a big wall with the painting of what the road
Yeah.
would look like, and
Oh. Did it just drive right into the did it drive right
it
into the wall?
the Tesla did, yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I don't know, and then there's all the back and forth, "Well, that's not fair," and blah, blah, blah. Well,
Mm.
the more interesting part of that was, the part of the video where the guy snuck LiDAR into Space Mountain at
Mm.
Disney. And it's not easy to get through the Disney,
Right.
security, but he wanted to map what it really looks like in that dark building,
Mhm.
and, man, they got a nice map and then, fed all the data into a 3D printer and
Mhm.
printed a model of all the Space
Yeah, of
Mountain
everything.
tracks.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, you say that just Tuesday night, I was down in Lincoln and parking in a garage. For some reason, I've become a terrible parker in the Legacy. I
Huh.
can't park that thing straight. I can't. It doesn't like I park by feel, and I
Right.
can't feel it. And I almost there's one mode, and maybe Tesla's got this, but I wish there was a parking mode where I could just hey, I'm coming in. I don't need to be the one parking. I'm going
Right.
slow. Can you put it in between the lines and
Yeah.
get
I
3
haven't
inches from the
played
wall?
with any of that yet on
Okay.
either car because, I mean, last time I looked at it, the problem seems to be, yeah, they can do it, but they're very slow about it,
Oh, for
so
sure they're slow.
if anybody's around, they are gonna be pretty irritated while the
Yeah.
car's figuring out how it wants to
Yeah.
do
It's
that.
like the ones that do parallel parking. They're
Yeah.
not very fast.
No,
They go pretty
no.
slow.
They're very
Yeah.
methodical, let's say
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
but, yeah, I mean, that's been a challenge too because, I'm not used to a car the size of the Lyriq.
Yeah.
It's quite a bit
Yeah.
bigger than,
Is it wider?
oh, a good 6, maybe even 8 inches
Inches?
wider.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, which is, you know, I'm kinda liking that too, more shoulder
Yeah.
room, more spacious.
Yeah, well, in the Honda Civic was much narrower than an '06 Civic, and then I get into a 2021 Legacy, and that's a wide car. I mean, it's comfortable. Like, it's not your kinda
Mhm.
comfortable, but it's
Right.
comfortable for me. And that's why I'm having trouble parking it because it's just so for years. I mean, I drove that car for 15 years, and just maybe because it's bigger, I'm having trouble, you know?
Huh. Yeah,
So,
John Biggs says the South Park is fast now, it's better.
okay, good.
And I
Yeah,
know they were working on it, there was a point in time where it didn't seem usable,
yeah,
but
yeah. Yeah, I'm sure that just gets better, and I think some
yeah.
of those things are gonna come to the rest of the cars too, but, no, it's good. Ed, thanks for, we've really spent some time not trying to which is happening a lot these days, trash one and support
I
the other,
I
right?
loved my Tesla. This is
Yeah,
just a
yeah,
different thing,
yeah, yeah.
and,
No, I'll look forward to, making my way to Boston at some point. Maybe I'll get a chance to
hey, you get a
ride in
ride
that
in it.
one too. Yeah, no, we gotta ride in that thing for sure.
It's not
Me
gonna
too.
snap your neck back, but it'll get us where we're going.
Listen, I will never forget that moment that we were coming back from something and you're like, chef is in the back seat and you punch it. And I thought I was going to another planet. At that
Um,
point, I could not pull my head forward and I'm like, ooh, Ed, this is a little much.
well, for a
Yeah.
while on my list of what I needed, in a new car, I kept thinking, "Well, it's gotta be faster than the one I have,"
Yeah.
I need better than 3.7, and then I realized, I think the last time I floored my Tesla was when you were in the car. I mean, it really for, that kinda thing, it seemed more like a
Yeah.
party trick than,
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
that I needed.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, when I went from the Honda Civic Hybrid to the Legacy and I had power again. I mean, listen, I gave the Honda Civic to my daughter and she complained about the speed. She struggles. I mean, she didn't want a very fast car. But when I could put the gas pedal down and pass somebody safe, reasonably safe, I thought this is really nice. I forgot because that Civic was just, I mean, it was a gutless wonder. That thing is a miracle. I mean, I got great gas mileage on
Yeah.
it, but it
Now,
was
one
amazing.
more thing I preferred
Yeah,
in the Tesla,
yeah,
that you could just get in the car and put it in drive and go.
yeah.
The Lyrics got a start-stop button, which is totally unnecessary,
No,
and
that's a
I
callback.
well, yeah, I think that is more to bridge the gap for, the non-technical people, but, I'm here,
Yeah,
I got
yeah,
my key fob
yeah,
instead of my phone. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
with John on that. It it wa it was fun for a little while, and then
yeah,
after you showed all
yeah,
your friends how fast it was,
yeah.
you
Never
didn't
used it again.
need it.
Yeah,
No,
yeah. You never
no.
needed it again.
I think
Although when I get on the interstate here, coming out of Bellevue, and I'm going north to Omaha, it's uphill. You get on the interstate, it's uphill, and notoriously, I do not know why everyone on that ramp is going slow.
Mm.
And you're merging in. I love to kick it out in the left lane and punch it. That would have been an awesome opportunity to do the boost, right?
Listen, even the regular one, I think was, if I remember right, it was 4.2 seconds. I mean, it's still gonna get you ahead of the traffic. It's
Oh,
not a
that's
problem.
awesome. That's awesome. And anything else?
No, I
Okay.
think it's
Okay.
been
Well,
a fun time, Jim, and
yeah, no, it's been good. I
we
appreciate
we
you
didn't
walking
get
through this.
into any politics because guess what? Technology is not political.
That's very true. Very true. Well, I appreciate you doing that with me. We'll when we post show, not in the post show, but post show, I'll get you scheduled for the next one. I got some openings and we'll figure out what works for you.
I
And
guess
we'll
I'm
bring
already prepared for it.
yeah, well it's all done. Like we might as well do it. Let's talk about I think you've got some and this wouldn't pertain to just EVs.
No,
I'm looking at this right now, and this is
none of it
every
is
car, right?
EV
So some
specific.
yeah, some accessories that you can't live
Right.
you can't live without. So Ed, thanks for staying up. I know normally you're in bed by now, and you're
Usually reading in bed.
okay. Okay. Well, this is snoozing. Can you hang around for just a second as I
Absolutely.
close this thing up? Couple reminders on the way. One, big thanks to John and Kevin and I saw Tony out there a little bit earlier, and Ken jumped in there with the great comments tonight. Appreciate you guys. I've been building this show up for a while just because I was excited to talk about it. It was good conversation around that, and so thanks for coming out. If you want to join the Discord group, and some of you have, jump in there, theaverageguy.tv/Discord. It's not a big commitment. I post the live shows when we change the time of the live shows or whatever. There's some good, we deals are out there. So it's not a lot of work and not a lot of maintenance. So if you want to join us, theaverageguy.tv/Discord. And then don't forget the averageguy.tv platform, both web and media hosting, powered by Maple Grove Partners. Get secure, reliable, high-speed hosting from people that you know and you trust. And that's Christian. In fact, I think, well, no, I know I don't have Christian coming back because he's having a baby. Like it's coming anytime. It may have already happened. No,
Huh.
I don't know. But he is out he will be out for a while on paternity leave. But if you want more information about Maple Grove Partners, check it out today, maplegrovepartners.com. You can always contact me, Jim at theaverageguy.tv. And love your emails, love your feedback. I've been getting some really good feedback lately, so I appreciate you guys and you guys checking in and doing that. Over the next couple weeks, Marv B is joining me next week. That's always fun to have Marv on. And then Ed, you mentioned it, and this is your favorite guest,
Mhm.
Aaron Lawrence is coming on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, she's great.
'Cause
So
I don't know what to buy until she tells me.
she says it, you buy it, right? Is that the way it works?
Yeah, if I hadn't already ordered the Cadillac, I'd probably be driving an EV9 now, you know?
Yeah, Erin does a great job. She's super fun to have on. She'll be on the 17th. The 24th, Uyghur is back. And then I got Gavin Campbell coming back on the 8th. And then Mark Robson is coming on May 15th,
Is that
barbecue and
barbecue? Yeah.
grill show.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, the big barbecue and grill show. So it'll be about that time, mid-May, getting the grills out, starting to think about the summer
So,
stuff.
we don't do the lawn anymore since you gave up on it, right?
Well, Ed, I've been thinking about getting back into the lawn this year.
Alright.
I don't know. So you might hear some robot lawnmower stuff coming in. And then TJ Huddleston's coming back on the 29th of May. So we got a bunch of shows ahead for you. If you're listening to the podcast, come out on a Thursday night, usually 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern. Tonight we did it at 7. I did that for Ed so we could get it done a little bit early. We may move to that time. I'm getting some pretty positive comments about 7 p.m. So that might become an option. But join us out here live, theaverageguy.tv/live every Thursday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern. And we'll do it again next week as Marv joins me. For those listening live, thanks for coming out. We'll do and Jim Shoemaker's out there as well. Jim, thanks for checking in. Appreciate that. Thanks for coming out. And we'll do just a super short post show because I need to get talking to Ed. We need to get him to bed anyways. So with that, we'll say goodbye, everybody. Yeah, Ed, we can't mess around. We got to get you to bed here pretty
Oh,
quick,
yeah.
right? right? I mean,
Well, listen, I do feel as though I bought this car just in the nick of time.
oh, I mean, really, like, you gotta feel listen, I bought my Legacy, my 21 Legacy in May of 2021, and then car prices went nuts in June. Like,
Right.
I felt that too. I got that car for what I look at now, I mean, it's $10,000 more today than it was in
Yeah.
2021, right? You gotta be feeling something similar, right?
Yeah, I mean, in the end, I think the MSRP on this car was 71,000. I only got the dealer to knock 1,000 off because they were ordering it. It wasn't something on the lot, but I wanted the features I wanted. But then it was eligible for the tax credit, so I got that at point of sale. And then they had another
Wait a minute, you didn't have to do it in your taxes? They just took it off right there?
point of sale.
Oh, man.
Yeah, they send you there's a form you have to fill out at tax time,
Yeah,
to make sure,
yeah.
but no, these latest
Wow.
rebates were point of sale.
Nice. Okay.
Don't get attached to them. I think they'll
Yeah,
go away when the next budget is passed.
yeah, I think
But
you're right. Yeah, we'll have to
then,
see. We'll have to see.
then they had a $2,000 conquest cash incentive,
What
so,
is that?
just if you're coming from a non-Cadillac, or maybe it's even non-GM vehicle,
Oh,
and they just knocked
okay,
2,000 off. So,
okay.
overall, we came in at 60,
That's not
from
bad.
70. It's not terrible,
Yeah. And for a luxury vehicle, that's EV, I mean,
And then, yeah, it's not clear where it'll go price-wise with
yeah,
tariffs. They are made in the USA, but
yeah,
I don't know how many parts and things come from elsewhere.
yeah. We might wanna hang tight on these tariffs. Like,
Well, they can
right,
come and go,
right.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
We'll
yeah. Be
we'll
interesting to see.
see how many are
Yeah,
for negotiation purposes,
right,
and
right. I was driving home. I listened to the Wall Street Journal podcast and, 15 minutes twice a day gives you market information, that kind of stuff. They've
Mhm.
been covering the tariffs. And so Sammy was in the car with me and I was like, we were talking and I'm like, I don't think we're going to buy anything for this. This is the next month. Like, let's see where things go before we start buying stuff. And then I was kind of thinking, I wonder if there's anything that I regularly buy that's not affected by this, the decisions of this week,
Uh,
you know?
Very little.
Yeah. I mean, that's just a good exercise in thinking through like,
Local produce maybe will not
well,
be
local
affected.
local produce. What about my shaving cream? I need to get some. I use Harry's,
Uh,
right?
yeah.
Is maybe that was probably not,
It's it's
you know?
something that's hard to even figure out, 'cause,
Yeah,
I'm having the house painted, and I'm thinking, "Well, do we gotta rush and buy the paint?" Well,
right,
because even if it's made in the US, well, where's the pigment come from?
right.
It's just
Oh,
really
I know.
hard to figure out
Yeah,
all the things,
yeah. I'm just kinda holding off. It's like, even with technology stuff,
Mhm.
you're kinda like, I bought an IC Dock 3 drive bay unit back in 2021, and it was like $45. They were basically giving those things
Yeah.
away. Like, I tried to buy another one. I have the exact same machine that my newest gaming rig is in, or Windows rig, and they're $90 now, and
Huh.
I can't keep them around. And I was like, now, and that was before all the talk of these tariffs. And I'm like, man, I wonder where that's gonna
Oh,
go, you know?
$90, that's a
Yeah,
lot of money.
double over the last 4 years, you know? And it's just a principle, right?
Yeah.
You're just like, it's not a lot of money. It's $100, right?
Well,
But
my fear is, the ice cream stand right down the road from
oh,
me
no.
opened today, I don't know what the egg prices are gonna be doing
Yeah,
to their ice cream prices,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know? I mean,
yeah.
the eggs aren't a tariff thing, but, the price is still up there.
Okay, here's a question for the chat room, and Ed, I'll ask you this question too, but chat room, I want you to chime in. Would buying chickens from me be considered a home gadget thing. Like, should I, if I bought chickens and maybe I got a door that opened and closed at sunset, it's all, I had solar power on the chicken coop to run the things. Like, could that be considered home gadget? Could I use home gadget? Can I have that on the show, Ed? What do you think?
I think you can, I mean,
Listen, the president told me I should just get some chickens. So maybe I'm thinking 3 or 4. I mean, what's the right number, do you think? 3, 4, 6? Do I need 6?
I'm not up on this,
Chat room? What are your guys'? There's a few of you left out there. You guys have been awfully
This
quiet here.
seems like, this seems like a YouTube channel almost for Jim's Journey, like the ones you love.
Oh, yeah.
This is a whole thing about
No, right on. Listen, my
raising
neighbor
the chickens.
Josh, the chainsaw Josh, who I mentioned in the show.
Yeah.
He put in, I think he has 8 or 9 chickens. And when he goes out of town, he asks us, hey, can you just come and get the eggs? We don't want them to go to waste. So we go and pick them up for him. But I was thinking maybe I could build a little coop. And although wood prices are super expensive, so here's the deal. Here's what I think, Ed. Then we'll end it on this. So you're thinking like, okay, yeah, egg prices have shot through the roof. $5-7 a dozen, whatever they are, right? 8 maybe. I don't. At the market basket, what do you think you pay for a dozen eggs?
Last I checked, they were about $6,
Okay.
but then it depends on the level of organic, free range, whether they were raised in a palace. I mean, there's all kinds of levels here.
Well, let's just say, okay, 50 cents to $1 an egg, right? Is what that breaks down to. Let's just say let's say it's 75 cents or so. Well, I could go get wood to get a coop and then do all the work to put that coop together. And I'm probably in, $200 or $300 or $400 for the coop, maybe more.
Probably a lot more because your projects seem to take on the life of their own.
You're right. The coop itself may have a generator or a solar panel on it.
It'll
Right?
probably have, for unknown reasons, a lot of data storage in the coop.
Yeah, you're probably right. Right. Let's just say it's a $500 coop. Then you can get a lot of eggs for $500, right? Do you what's the payoff on that? It's like solar. You start thinking about solar and you're like, well, it's going to take me 10 or 12 or 15 years to pay this stuff off, right?
So, I think the only reason to do it is if you didn't believe the ones at the store were really organic, or
right.
If we're going to hit a point where there are egg shortages.
True. No, very true. And I think we're not gonna. I think this has been I think we're going to figure this thing out. And there's going to be so many eggs, and like toilet paper, it's going to reappear. And I think we're going to be fine. Kevin Schoonover says farming is a home gadget project. So, okay. Yeah. He gives me John says, if you get too many eggs, I said, you can always eat one, right? I mean, I think that's what he's referring to.
Well, maybe too many chickens eat one.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. I got that. Okay. And then if barbecue counts, why not cyber chickens?
Combine the killing of the chickens with the barbecue show.
We could show those like on YouTube. There's all these homesteaders who they review the chicken murdering devices that they have on when they're doing it. Jim says, get Aaron to review chicken coops. Maybe not yeah. And then Tony will wrap it with this. Says Bobcat got into my aunt's chicken coop.
That's the problem out where I live.
Yeah. You've got bobcats, or you'd have
bobcats,
predators?
we've got foxes, we've got coyotes. We got it all out here.
Yeah, and I get chickens across the street, so now there's competition, so I wouldn't have to worry about it too much. We have hawks and stuff that try to get to the chickens. Dogs are a problem. Dogs that want to come into the yard sometimes and get them. So
yeah,
I don't know.
This is going to grow into a whole thing.
I don't know, Ed. I don't think I'm going to do it.
Just go pick up a dozen eggs at the store.
It's just easier to pay $8 for a dozen eggs than this. It's the solar problem with just eggs. That's all this is. You're like, yeah, I just spent $1,000 to save a nickel on eggs, right? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
I just don't. For me, maybe not. Maybe it's not. And it smells, and there's well, the chickens eat the bugs, I guess. So, anyways, yeah. And Kevin, listen, Kevin, last one. Kevin says an automated chicken tractor. Chicken tractors are a big deal, right? Especially among the organics where they move those chickens around. Yeah. Except Kevin, I don't even have. I mean, I've got like a quarter of an acre. Like, it would have to be a chicken tractor that was like a foot by a foot. Like
maybe you could convert a robo vacuum into a chicken. I mean, there's projects here for you.
I will be asking Erin about this for sure when she comes on the show. Gents, thanks for coming out tonight. Thanks for hanging out with us. Appreciate you guys coming early and all your comments and chat. We'll see you back here next week with Marv B. And then don't forget Erin's in 2 weeks. So you want to be here for